God created heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. Let there be light, and there was light. Ambient light is something that you have no control over. It was present before you got here. Take for instance, did you put the sun there? Who did? God. God put the sun there. Except you are God. It's only God that can consider sunlight as artificial light because He puts it there. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about a few questions that we've gotten, and yeah, stay tuned. What is ambient light?
An ambient light, lights that are natural lights, or lights that you can, or light that you see in an environment.
An ambient light, it's light that you can see in frame. Light you as a photographer did not put them. Like
an ambient light can be blue light that are there for the photographer or for the shoots that was not provided by the photographer himself. Yeah.
Okay. Alright. So there's no right and wrong answer to it. I think we'll be all right. You understand? An ambient light is anything but an artificial light. That is what an ambient light is. And who knows what artificial lighting is? Your strobes, your continuous lights, your flashes, whatever it is, speed lights, whatever it is, that's your artificial light. Then ambient light is something that you have no control over. It was present before you got here. Take for instance, the sun was, did you put the sun there? Who did? God. God put the sun there. Except you are God. It's only God that can consider sunlight as artificial light because He puts it there. So ambient light is whatever light that is present in your scene that you did not put there, and most times you don't have control over. Do you understand? So apart from whatever changes you can make on your camera, you don't have the power to turn down the sun. Probably if you go for a wedding, you go for an event, you go to a club, you go to wherever, a church, and then there are lights everywhere, and you as a photographer, you walk in, I'm not sure you have the power to go and reduce one and increase one. So most times for ambient lighting, you have no control over it, except for when you control the light that enters into your camera. Artificial lights, these are your strobes, flashes, whatever light that is artificial to that place. Secondary light, that is light that is man-made. You made that light, you put the light, you crafted the light. Do you understand? But most times for ambient lighting, it's already there. So examples of ambient lighting, we have the sunlight, we have lamps, we have lights from lamps, we have, which other lights? The bulb,
Even the AC lights.
the lights from the AC, the lights from switches, all those are your ambient lights. So whatever lights that you have no business putting there is your ambient light. So how to control ambient lighting? So this is what we're going to be discussing today, how to control and how to use ambient lighting. So the first question is ambient lighting good? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Because there are two sides to this. Some photographers hold that ambient lighting is more of a disturbance to them, while some photographers hold that ambient lighting is the best type of lighting you can get. But which is right and which is wrong?
I don't think there's anyone that is wrong or there's anyone that is right. It depends on what you're doing, what you're shooting, how you want to shoot, and when you're shooting. So I can't say there's anyone that is wrong or right.
Okay. So do you have any other thing to add? Or you agree with him?
Let me add to
Okay.
what he said. What he said also, I feel also it depends on the photographer that is shooting.
Okay.
He might have his own style. Some might prefer natural light, or ambient lighting, while some might prefer the artificial. It just depends on the person shooting.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's good.
So according to you, it depends on the preference of photographers or whoever is shooting that will now determine, do you agree? Yes, that would determine if it's right for them or wrong for them. So as a whole, I like to teach lighting from the perspective of creation. Understand? So when God made heaven and earth, when God made everything, the world as we know it now. So in Genesis 1:1, it says, in the beginning, God created, you've forgotten Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. Verse 2, he says, let there be light, and there was light. So the light was one of the first things that God created. Do you understand? And then when you move, I think to verse 6 or 7, before he rested, he looked and he saw that what he created was good. Do you get? So light is actually good. Whatever light you see is good. Do you understand? The fact that you can't use the light that you have doesn't mean that the light is not good, because some other photographer, some other artist, some other person is going to see the light in a different perspective. Take for instance, some people don't like to shoot when the sun is blasting hot, but there are some fashion photographers, there are some people, lifestyle photographers, that is the exact kind of light that they need, harsh lighting. In fact, we try to do it and recreate it with artificial light. That is when you are blasting your strobe hot on your subject without any diffuser, any umbrella or whatever it is. Do you understand? You're trying to imitate that harsh sunlight on your subject to create like really hard shadows by the side or behind or wherever it is. Do you understand? So there's no kind of light that is not good, because from the creator himself, he created light as a whole, and he saw that it was good. So if you're seeing light and you're saying that the light isn't good as a photographer, I think there's a problem. I think you cannot, maybe you don't understand how to use the light, how to craft the light to suit what you want, and then you are saying that the light isn't good. Because however, even a purple light, there's a way to use it. I don't know, a light with a weird color, there's a way to use it. And there's a way to add it to your frame and make it look like it's not taking the light now. The ambient light in that is a problem to one photographer. Another photographer might use it as a complement to his image, and that will just be the icing on the cake. So lighting as a whole is good. I want us to just establish the fact that lighting as a whole is good. You understand? There's no wrong type of lighting, there's no good kind of lighting. Lighting as a whole is good. Now, talking about ambient lighting. Ambient lighting is one of my favorite types of light. You get? Because the reason why I like ambient lights or ambient lighting is because it's very natural. First of all, ambient lighting is very natural to the environment. It's very natural to your scene. It's already placed there, and I hope you know that the universe as it is a work of art. You just have to discover it. I hope you know. Seeing, if you look out the window and then you see the cars moving and all, a photographer might want to take a picture of this and then he will just take a normal picture just showing everything. But I hope you know that there's a certain kind of photographer that is going to look out there and see a very good framing and frame a picture and then possibly make it into a large format print, and then when you see it you're like, wow, who made this? But what was the difference between the two photographers? One saw potential in the lighting and the composition of what is going on out the window, while the other just took a picture. It all first starts where? From your mind. It starts from your mind. So if you're able to visualize and understand the workings of ambient lighting, I feel like you would have gone like 10 steps ahead in your photography journey. Because for the most part, I want you to know this and I want you to write it down. You don't need the perfect lighting. You just need the perfect moment. I hope you know that nobody actually cares what kind of light you use, as far as the moment is priceless and they feel the best about themselves in that moment or with that picture you took. I hope you know. No bride and groom is going to ask you, okay, what light setup did you use for this particular picture? Or no birthday client or whoever, do you understand, a maternity client or somebody that you shot. No one is going to say, oh my God, I love this picture. What lighting did you use? How were you able to shoot this lighting? Nobody is going to actually come and tell you that. They would only appreciate how well they felt or how they feel seeing that picture that you took. So in the scheme of things, Lighting is not so important to whoever is in that picture, except the person is a photographer or the person has interest in filmmaking or lighting. So first of all, you first have to understand that a perfect moment supersedes light. When you understand that, then you know the use of ambient light. You will know that your ambient light is as important as anything. So take for instance, on a wedding day, you're trying to shoot a moment, probably a mom, the mother of a bride, walks in and is trying to just talk to the bride, and in between, she starts crying and the bride starts crying. I hope you know that that is a priceless moment that would never happen again in their lifetime. Why? Because the bride may not get married again. Even if the bride were to get married again, the mom may not be there to witness it. I hope you know. So it is very important for you to know that priceless moments are more valuable than the best light setups. It is not to undermine you perfecting the use of light, but it's just to let you know that a priceless moment it supersedes a perfect lighting. Do you get? So within that moment, when the bride's mother is shedding a tear and then the bride too is shedding tears, I hope you know that you having to, in a situation, now we're talking about a situation where it's just you shooting, I hope you know that if you were to leave that shot to go and set up your lights and come back, I hope you know that that moment is gone. Even though you would have them like doing that same thing again, I hope you know they won't do it the same way they did it at first when it was natural. So that is why it's important for you to know that natural and ambient lighting is key to you as a photographer. You have to understand it. There's no going back on this. So when you know and you've established the need for ambient lighting, then you will then know the importance with which you would learn how to use ambient lighting. Take for instance, whenever I'm shooting a wedding, and I walk into a room, or whenever I'm shooting anybody and I walk into a room, a hotel, whatever, the first thing I look at, I don't first look at the sweetest spots to take pictures. I look at the spot with the best lighting. As opposed to some photographers, they first start looking at the place that is more aesthetically pleasing, a place that has a particular background or something. I don't look at those first. Is it because that is not important? No. For me as a photographer and as a wedding photographer, since I understand the need for lighting and how important lighting is to my storytelling, I then know how to craft light. I then place an importance on lighting over a very beautiful background. Take for instance, if I have a crappy location that has a good lighting, and then I have a good location that has a crappy lighting, in the events that I don't have a natural light for both, I hope you know I would opt for a crappy location with a good lighting. Why? Because I can easily walk my way and carve light into what I want it to be at the other location. But then when I don't have the luxury of having like artificial lighting and at a very nice location and the light is totally bad, I hope you know that it's all equal to zero. It's almost impossible for you to get any picture at all at a very fine location that doesn't have good lighting. So the moment I walk into any room, I first recognize what are the lights that are available to me. I hope you know that even in the space where this is recorded, like if I'm to create now with no artificial lighting, I hope you know I'll still create really good pictures with absolutely no artificial lighting. Why? Because there's already the sunlight that is behind me, the ambient light that is behind me, and then there are also other lights that I can carve. There are also other lights that I can use. Take for instance the spotlights up there. I can use it to create whatever I want to create with it, instead of just hoping and just like putting all my trust on my natural light. And now this brings me to the next question. If you took your strobe lights and you took your flashes and all your very fine lighting to a location and you discover that on the location your light got damaged and you don't understand ambient light, what would you do if you don't understand ambient light? I hope you know you're already in trouble for not understanding ambient light. To me, ambient light is the easiest light to use. Why? Because it's already there. You don't have to set it. It's already there. You just have to walk around it. I don't know whether you understand. So the sunlight is already there. I asked if there was a switch that you could use to reduce the velocity or the power of the sunlight. and then increase it when you want to? Is there a switch like that I don't know of? Do you understand? So if there's no switch like that and then the light is already available to me, that means the ambient light is my constant now, yeah? I now have to work around that constant. Do you understand? Other factors that can change, take for instance, the placement of my subject. It's a variable factor, I can change that because the person moves. Do you understand? The closeness the ambient lighting hits my subject, I can change that. That is a variable factor. Do you understand? I can also change how much light comes into my camera. That is a variable factor. It's changing. As far as I can change it, then I can then change stuff that is variable to match with stuff that is fixed, which is the ambient lighting. Do you understand? So if you understand this, then you then know that the easiest light to shoot with is your natural light. So now the question is, how do I understand to shoot natural light? How do I know how to shoot natural light? How do I know how to shoot ambient lighting? How to understand shooting ambient light? To understand how to use ambient lighting, you first have to know and understand what captures light. Do you understand what captures light? What captures light? Your camera, right? Do you understand? And then your camera has different components. That is, your camera has a lens. You understand? Inside of a lens, you have your aperture. Do you understand? It's the gateway into your lens, how wide open your lens is or how closed up your lens is. Do you understand? And then your camera itself now has a shutter. Now has, what is this stuff now that closes and opens? Huh? The shutter speed controls what?
The amount of time it takes for a picture to start taking.
Okay, yes, I'm proud of you that you remember. So there are different components in your camera. So take for instance your aperture, you have your shutter speed, and you have your ISO. This is speaking about your exposure triangle. Do you understand? What makes up your exposure? I think I've taught on exposure triangle before. Your exposure triangle is your aperture, your ISO, and your shutter speed. All three control the amount of light that comes into your camera. What you need to understand is all three of these don't control ambient lighting the same way or to the same level. I know you don't understand that, but I'm going to explain. Write it down first. All three of that's the shutter speed, the ISO, the aperture, they don't control light on the same level. As we all know it, the shutter speed controls the sensor, how long your camera opens up for light to enter into the sensor of your camera, right? Yes. So basically there's a curtain that covers your sensor, and that curtain is not always open, it's always closed. It opens up when you tell it to open up and closes when you tell it to close up. Do you understand? So that particular button, that shutter speed button that controls the time for which that curtain is open or that room is open, that time period when the shutter is open, that is the amount of time that is needed for light to enter into your camera. Do you understand? So once that light enters into your camera now, so if it's open for a longer time, more light comes in. If it's open for a shorter time, less light comes in. Do you understand? So, and what are we talking about? We're talking about the ambient lighting of the environment. So when we are talking about you letting light in and you not letting light in, we're talking about ambient lighting. So the major thing or the major component of your camera or part of your camera or settings in your camera that controls ambient lighting is your shutter speed. You know, I told you that all three of your exposure triangle controls ambient lighting, but on different levels. And the next one that controls ambient lighting is your aperture. Your aperture is kind of like the pupil of your camera. Do you understand? Or the eye of your camera. Do you understand? The wider it gets, the wider open your aperture is the more light enters. Take for instance, if you open your eyes or you bulge out your eyes like this, the amount of light that comes in is more. Do you understand? And then if you shut your eyes, like if you halfway shut your eyes, the amount of lighting that enters your eyes is lesser, yeah? So that is the next part that controls, or the next component of your camera that controls your ambient lighting. Last is your ISO. So your ISO is used in a situation where your aperture, where your shutter speed has been used to the maximum, when your aperture has been used to the maximum, and then you still don't have enough ambient lighting, then you now employ your ISO. Whenever you're shooting ambient lighting, take for instance, maybe you step out to shoot maybe a natural light image of a couple or a model or someone, a subject generally, the first thing you should look at when you are outside isn't your ISO. You shouldn't be looking to adjust your ISO, because your ISO is already, the lowest ISO I think for Canon cameras, I think it's 100, yeah? So you can't drop it below 100. So even if the light was to be too much, it will still stay at 100. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you step outside and then the light is not so much, and then your first thought is increasing your ISO, I don't think you're doing the right thing. Do you understand? Instead, reduce your shutter speed to allow more time for the ambient lighting to come into your camera. And then if you try that and maybe you've maxed it out, when I say maxing out your shutter speed, probably, you know, there's a certain level below which if you reduce your shutter speed, you won't be able to hold your camera handheld for the picture to be sharp. Do you understand? Because your shutter speed is the time that your camera takes to take a particular picture. That is the time in which your camera is meant to click that shutter. Do you understand? So if you are holding your camera on your hand and you're not able to, and you reduce that shutter speed below a certain level, I hope you know that you will not get a very sharp image. Do you understand? Take for instance, if you're holding it handheld and maybe you're not holding like a mirrorless camera, and then you reduce it below 80, I hope you know that your pictures will be shaky. Do you understand? But now for recent mirrorless cameras, if you're able to keep your hand stable, at least you can hold it at 80, 70 shutter speed, at even 50. If you're shooting with strobes, you can still hold it, because the strobe will still add to freezing your subject in place. Do you understand? So when you understand this, then you know how to control your camera to use the ambient light. The second point is how to use your exposure triangle to control ambient lighting. So we'll first start with the shutter speed. I'm going to be giving like different scenarios, and then I'll tell you what to do in the different scenarios. Yeah, take for instance, you walked into that particular room and you saw that there's a window and then there's a lamp, and the other part of the room is dark, very dark. In fact, the room is painted black, a very dark color. Do you understand? So now what you then do, probably you were coming from outside and you're shooting outside, the first thing, and your shutter speed was on maybe 4,000 or 3,000 thereabouts, you're trying to shoot with less light outside. What you then do when you come inside, instead of having to bump up your ISO and make your pictures grainy, do you know what grain means? You don't know what grain means? So it's the tiny particles that appears on your image when you increase or you take your ISO to an absurdly high amount. When they say picture has grains, that means it has tiny particles. That is, you have maxed out your ISO. Do you understand? So for this particular situation or scenario, what you do is, instead of having your shutter speed still on 2000 that you are shooting outside, and then trying to now struggle with your ISO to increase your ISO to maybe 64,000, and then having grains all over your picture, instead of that, leave your ISO at what it is. Your first line of action is to first reduce your shutter speed. And when I say reducing your shutter speed, you are going to reduce your shutter speed to a point where your image can still be sharp, but you are getting as much light as possible into your camera. So what is the space, what is the shutter speed, or what is the specific numbers that you know, and you will put your shutter speed and you will know that this particular shutter speed, once it's on these particular numbers, I'm getting the maximum light, but my picture will still be sharp. What's that number? Should I tell you? The number is between 100 to 160. 100 to 160. So once you have your shutter speed between 100 to 160 and your hand is relatively stable, your picture is going to be sharp. Do you understand? And you're going to get as much light as possible. The reason why I gave a range between 100 and 160 is some people have fidgeting hands, some people have hands that shake. Do you understand? They don't have stable hands. So it is quite hard for them to keep the camera stable. Do you understand? For such kind of people, I think your shutter speed should remain at the range between the range of 125 to 160. But for people who have very stable hands, then you can shoot 100. You can even shoot 80 if you're shooting a mirrorless camera and a very modern camera. Because for modern cameras, you can just, even if your hand moves, as far as you're able to lock in your focus on your subject, it will be sharp. Even if it won't be that sharp, it will not be as shooting a DSLR camera. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the range in between, the range within which your shutter speed should remain for you to get enough light and then your image still being sharp is between what?
100 to 160.
100 to 160. Your first line of action in controlling your ambient lighting is your shutter speed. In a low light situation, your shutter speed is to be brought down to the minimum level within which your image is still sharp and you're getting as much light as possible. This range is between the range of 100 to 160 depending on or relative to how stable your hand is. And in cases where you have a tripod, that number can go down. That number can go between 50 to 100, 40 to 100. If you take your shutter speed to 50 and you get as much natural light or ambient light as possible and your image isn't sharp, I hope you know you did not achieve anything, because the goal is for you to put out an image that is actually really sharp. So when you walk into a room, any room at all, you walk into any room, your first thought should be, how do I get as much natural light into my camera? And that should be first, before you even look at your artificial lighting. Before you set your strobe as a photographer, you should first be able to get your ambient exposure right. Do you know what I mean by ambient exposure? Make sure that the light in the room is the same with what your camera is seeing. What I mean by that is that the same way your eye sees, that is the same way your camera should be able to see the lights. That is what we call exposing to match your ambient lighting. Do you understand? You should have your ambient exposure first before you now talk about any artificial lighting. The problem with many photographers right now is that instead of having to do their ambient exposure first, they first start with an artificial light and then try to now be matching it up to. So at every point, so now when you step into that birthday shoot, when you step into that wedding, you understand, a wedding has so many lights. So first of all, expose for the place you're shooting for. Make sure that your camera is seeing it the same way your eye is seeing it. When you then have your ambient exposure, then you can add an artificial lighting. And one point I want you to note is that artificial lighting is artificial lighting. It is meant to add to your scene. It is not meant to change your scene, except in the condition where you are trying to craft a kind of light that is not available in your scene, or you are trying to craft a lighting to tell a different story. Take for instance, it's dark in the night and you are trying to craft the lights in a way that it shows that it's still daytime. Do you understand? This is a different condition. But if what you're going for is trying to shoot your environment as natural as possible, make sure that your artificial light is an add-on to what you have going on, to the ambient light that you have going on, and not a substitute for the ambient light. The next point that you should write: an artificial light should be an add-on to your scene and not a replacement of your ambient lighting. So if as a photographer you put in your artificial lighting and then it automatically changes it makes the ambient lighting to not be visible, I don't think you are telling a natural story of the environment. I don't think you are representing what the environment looks like naturally. The exception to this is if you are trying to craft a light that is not present there, or you are trying to tell a story different from what is already being told there. I hope you know that this room already has a story to it. It's all bright, there's plants everywhere. Do you understand? There's already a story to it. But I hope you know that if I want to create, or if I want to tell a story that would seem very mysterious, I hope you know that I won't be able to tell that story comfortably here, because everywhere is too bright for me to tell a mysterious story. So except for situations like that, then always work with your ambient lighting. So your artificial lighting is meant to be an add-on to it. What about if you walk into a room like this that is relatively bright? You have like a whole big window like I have behind me. Like you have like this whole big window that has so much light coming in from the window. And then you have like other lights that is just lighting up the whole space. And you're trying to tell a mysterious story. You're trying to tell a story about like that is mysterious. When I say a story that is mysterious, I mean you telling a story that is like shady. You telling a story that is dark. What you do in that scenario is to use your shutter speed to cut down light. So instead of doing what you did in a low light situation, you do the opposite of that when you have too much light coming in. So that is, I will then increase my shutter speed to cut out the natural light or the ambient light available in my scene. Same thing if you're shooting outdoors. Maybe you go outdoors, you step out now and you're trying to shoot, and then you see that the sun is blasting hot. Your first thought should not be your ISO. Your first thought should be your shutter speed. Increase your shutter speed to a point where your exposure is now right. Do you understand? That is you cutting out natural light. Remember we said that an ambient light is what you don't have control over, except there's a switch that you can turn the sun down and turn it up. And if there's no switch like that, then you have to understand the use of your shutter speed. It is now when you have maxed out your shutter speed and there's still too much light that is coming into your camera, then you can go to the next level of controlling your lights, which we spoke about on your exposure triangle, which is what? Your aperture. So when you go to your aperture now, what are you doing? You're trying to use your aperture, which is the eye of your lens. You're trying to use your aperture to block light from coming in. And how do you do it? You close your aperture. Do you understand? The more wide open it is the more light comes in. The more closed it is the less light comes in. Do you understand? So at that point, you increase your aperture. And then when you want more light in, you reduce it to the lowest. Remember, that was what I told you about that particular mistake. So instead of you were shooting on a 1.8 lens and you were shooting at 2.5 and you needed light. And instead of you to bring down your aperture from that 2.5 to 1.8, instead you increase your ISO and your picture was now grainy. If you can understand your exposure triangle, you're good as a photographer. If you can understand lighting, and by lighting I mean your exposure triangle, you're good. Because you can craft light, you can make light into whatever you want it to look like. So we'll close with this. I'll just give you different points now and then we'll close. Your ambient lighting is the most beautiful light that you can actually work with. And you know why? It's because it's natural already to the environment. Take for instance, the light that falls on a plant. I hope you know it's the right amount of light that you need to photograph that plant. I hope you know you don't need to add an artificial light to photograph a plant. Do you understand? Because a plant is already natural in its form. Does any plant have like an accompanying strobe light that is coming with it? So if there's no light that is coming with it and you want to capture it well, I hope you know that the definition of a good image is an image that depicts a moment exactly the way it happened. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the definition of a good image is a picture that depicts what that exact moment was about. So the same way you see a plant with a droplet of water on top of a plant when it was watered, the same way you see it and you look at it and it's so beautiful, it's so green, I hope you know that it won't be that same way if you add an artificial light to it. Why? Because the artificial light is not natural to that particular plant. So the most beautiful light that you can actually work with in any scene is your ambient light. What many photographers complain about is, oh, I don't have the best strobes, I don't have the best lighting, I don't have... In fact, for you to actually even shoot cinematic content nowadays, you have to do away with your artificial light and shoot with, because what cinematic means is that cinematic is just making your visuals seem as though it is playing in real life. I hope you know that is what cinematic means. Cinematic just means that you are making it look as real as possible. So for you to actually achieve your visuals looking as real as possible, you have to understand that your natural light is your best bet to getting that. Am I saying that artificial lighting is not good at all? Artificial lighting is good, but in different scenarios, and it is meant to be an add-on to your scene and not meant to replace your ambient lighting. And the last point I'll be telling you is that if you can fully understand and grasp the use of your ambient lighting, you will create the most beautiful and timeless image if you can understand it. Are we good? So what did I say? What was the first point? Your best bet, your best light, the most beautiful light you would have to work with in any scene is your ambient light. And the second point is your chance of creating timeless images is to understand ambient lighting. When I say timeless, I mean timeless, cinematic, whatever you want to call it. That is how to create. Do you understand? And then the last takeout is artificial lighting is meant to be an add-on to your scene and not a replacement of your ambient lighting. Yeah, I hope with these few points of mine I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that ambient lighting is the best type of lighting. Thank you all so much for staying till the end, and see you in the